Yeah. Peace, peace, family. We are
Peace,
in the
peace,
building.
family.
It's
Yes,
Dr.
welcome, welcome once again to another Sunday dinner with the tribe. It's always good to have each and every one of you join us and listening in.
Yes, yes. Shout out to the tribe. Shout out to the external tribe members out there.
Yes,
We always appreciate y'all stopping in.
yes, yes, yes. Everyone is welcome. Everybody is welcome. Peace to the family. Peace to the queen. In her absence. Peace to the hooks. You
Yes,
know,
we don't know if they be tapping in.
peace, peace. We continue to vibe high together. Yeah. What we talk about today, man, the great divide, the great divide. What is the great divide? You know, remember they talk about divide and conquer. That's what they've been doing to us for a long time. Dividing our consciousness, dividing us spiritually, dividing us emotionally, dividing us ethnically, dividing the men against the women against the men. I mean, there's so much divide that is going on that we can talk about. This is such a time that we are in, whereas we need to know how to not participate in the great divide, but be a partaker in terms of us coming together. The unity, that is what is needed in this hour. You know, the collective consciousness, because I'm seeing so much. I mean, like, oh man, the anger, the bitterness, the resentment of melanated men with melanated women, the resentment and the anger with those that are in the northern kingdom versus us in the southern kingdom, those in the Americas versus those in the continent of Africa. Is just so much divide going on. But the power we have is in unity when we see each other versus seeing past each other.
Yeah, I totally agree. About that great divide. It's so much division in everything. And we're trained and taught to look for the division in things, to look for the separation, to look for the singularity of things, and we're not doing the oneness, the togetherness, the how are we similar instead of how are we separate, how are we different. We're always looking at what's different about us. You have your light skin, or your dark skin, you're male and I'm female, or it's just not helping us at all. It's not helping us any. we lose the doctor? Oh,
Can you
family.
hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Yeah,
Uh, Yeah, I don't know. It sounded like you went on mute, but probably not. We might have just had a slight interference.
you probably had a slight interference because I didn't mute it, but nevertheless, anytime we're doing topics like this, there comes
Yeah,
a serious level of resistance, especially when it comes to being able to help ourselves, helping others, you know,
yes, exactly.
helping
I couldn't have said it better
other
myself.
people.
I was just thinking of that too. Like I was gonna say, every time we doing a deep dive,
Yeah, deep dive, there's a deep fight. We put it like that.
yeah, yeah,
Nevertheless,
they want us divided. That's what it is.
yeah, but they can't win, man. Can't win this one, man. Can't win this. Can't win this. This
It's an
is
interesting topic though. It's a very, very interesting topic because the the fact that we've come together as a tribe
yeah.
proves that this unity really works. This
And
oneness.
that is doable. Yeah, it's doable. You
Yeah.
know, but it comes with a mindset there again too. If the people have a mind to work together, to have a common goal. We have a common goal, and our common goal is to get a message out there that hey, we we are one. We can do this.
Mm-hmm.
There's there's levels to it, but still it can be done. It's doable. You could be people from different cultures and different countries and all these different things, and still be able to work together, still be able to harmonize. You know, we don't have to give in to the divide and conquer. We don't know what their plan is. We don't know what their tactics is. How do we now take their tactics, their plans, and make it work for us? How do we reverse engineer? Now I guess that's the word we use. How could we reverse engineer their
Yeah.
plans
Yeah. No,
and make it
that's
work?
a great word system. That's the word we should be using because we are engineers. We are creators. We engineered this system to have the chokehold on us that it has, you know. And the crazy thing, I never understood, I mean, I understand it, but my human brain doesn't comprehend how, people absolutely understand and they know for a fact. They'll admit it themselves of the lies and the deceit and the trickery and the chokehold that the religion has had on us. And they'll admit that, yet they'll still claim that faith. And I believe that most of them are doing it out of fear. Well, I don't want to go to hell. You still got that in your mind, you know? Did the doctor's sound cut out again?
What's going on?
It's
I don't
that
know what's
topic.
happening.
It's that topic.
Man. Yeah, they put that thing. If you don't believe, confess with your mouth and believe in your heart, well, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
Wee. Oh goodness. Nobody got a and they still tell you nobody got a heaven to put you in and a hell to take you out of, but yet still you're going to hell.
Right.
Hmm, amazing.
It's crazy.
Um,
The hell and the heaven we bring with us.
mhm.
It's
You
about
said
the Ten Commandments. The 42 laws of Mayat.
Leviticus, mhm.
It's all about that stuff. If you carry that with you, you're going to a better place. Period.
Yep. But the
It's
thing
if
is,
you
mm,
go ahead, sister.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. The thing is this. It's our consciousness. If I ain't gonna steal from myself, why should I steal from you? If I ain't gonna kill myself, why I gonna want to kill you? You understand? Common
Hmm.
consciousness, man. You back to being conscious of your ways and your doings. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, no, that was perfect. That was perfect because it's the truth. And we see the evidence of that if we just do the research.
Yeah. So, you know, come.
I
Well,
was I
what you call
was
it?
I was shocked.
We start. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, sister.
You said you were shocked.
No, I was just saying, I was shocked when I was like when I was in Christianity growing up,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're taught. And there
Yeah.
was so many questions I had, and there were no answers. There were no answers in the Bible, so I thought, the answers were right there, but
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't reading it for myself. I was going to church every Sunday listening to this pastor tell me what the word is.
Yep.
He can only give me the conviction of his heart. And most of
That's it.
them, are cheating on their spouses, they're making babies with their congregation.
Mm-hmm.
So the pastor got a lot of secret children out there, and it's with this woman who's in the first pew who came dressed in her Sunday's best, and he just couldn't keep his eyes
Mm-hmm.
off her. It's like, man, how is it that most of these people in the religious community are committing some of the most horrific crimes?
Precious thing.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But you could have a homeless man or a criminal who's got more morals. So a drug dealer's got more morals than a pastor does. I've seen this
Mm-hmm.
with my own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
that's sad.
Yep.
People give their faith
And so
to
that,
to these false
mm,
idols, these false gods, and these false preachers.
but that comes back to the same thing, back to that thing, that divide and conquer. Make me let you believe in the flesh. Even though we know that flesh will fail us, even though we hold these people when we were in that circle, we hold them at a high regard, not understanding the gods in term of gods in term of who they serve. Who we
Hmm.
were serving at that same time too, I should say, who we were serving, because we were caught right up in the divide of it,
Yeah.
you know.
Facts.
And
Yeah.
so when there's no conscience and that consciousness, that's where now you do whatever you feel like doing, because why? There's no accountability. I'm the pastor, I'm the leader, I'm the this, I'm the that, and you do as I say, and that's it. Don't question me, because I'm the voice of God. So how you
Yeah.
gonna question the voice of God? That's how they had us. That's the divide there again. The upper class and the lower class. Those who feel like they're the hierarchies and those who are not, according to them. You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
so these are the things. These are the things that we've. We've battled for so long that divide our mind. That's the other aspect. It was a division of our mind. Because if our mind be divided, a double-minded man, double-minded woman, we become unstable. We are unsure what it is we should be doing and shouldn't be doing because you telling me one thing, and then I'm seeing something totally different. Think about the government. The government telling you don't steal, pay your taxes, but the government still stealing and still ain't paying their taxes. You see?
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's a it's a
I love that
crazy.
word you said, unstable. That applies to everything we're talking about right now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was perfect the way you spat that out because not only is the society unstable, but people's mental health is unstable because of
Yep.
this. You know,
Mhm.
you are crazy if you think it's okay to strap a bomb to your chest, yell Allahu Akbar, and go and kill a bunch of innocent people.
Man,
You are
listen.
insane if you think that it's okay. You are unstable if you think it's okay to molest children and you call yourself a devout Catholic priest of the
Mhm.
church. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and yet these people have a divide too, you know? Oh,
Yeah.
Catholicism is the truth. Uh Islam is the truth. None of y'all has
Dividing
shown the
religion.
truth. You've shown nothing but hate and disdain for others,
Mhm.
and some show love because they have it in their heart and they just happen to be a part of this faith, but they're trapped by a lot of the outside things. Like, you know, there's this one guy I've been following, and I'm waiting for this
Mhm.
sheikh that he was speaking to actually come back and speak with
Mhm.
him, but he won't speak with him, and the guy's just asking a simple question: why did the prophet Muhammad, why did he marry his wife at 6 years old and consummate the marriage at 9? Y'all don't
Wow.
see a fucking problem with this?
Mm,
You're not getting
yeah.
my 9-year-old daughter, bro. I don't care
No.
what you've done in your, you know what I'm saying? And this may be something that was implanted that never really happened. I mean, nobody was there. So this may have been something that was put to make him look bad, because there's a lot of things
Yeah.
they've done to attempt to make Jesus look bad, or make Jesus look like he was going one way rather than the other.
Mhm.
We don't
Mhm.
know for sure. However, if that's what you're standing on, how do you justify that? And this sheikh just won't call this guy back. And I check his channel
Yeah.
every so often to see if he won't talk to him. Why won't you talk to him about that? Because I think you know that you don't have an answer for it,
You
and
don't have an
you rather
answer.
avoid that.
Mhm. Yeah. You don't have an answer. If you don't have an answer, there's something of that magnitude. You understand what to. It's like you gotta. It's like, wow, that's a serious thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I will kill a nigga. Excuse me. I mean, sorry. I,
No,
Wait,
you know, I know that.
that's a child. That's the innocency of a child's life when they're just supposed to be becoming and learning. And
Yeah.
you, a grown man, can consummate a marriage with a child. You
Yeah.
serious? Mm-mm. And like you say,
Yeah.
it could be whereas they said it to um, belittle him or whatever have you and stuff like that. But sometimes we say if something is being said often enough, or smoke coming from someplace, the fire isn't too far. And so we got to be careful in even putting ourselves in those compromising positions also.
Right.
That's another aspect of it is being put inside compromising positions that would cause your name to be aligned or malignant with something like of that magnitude. You
Yeah.
see? 'Cause,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so much, like when I read the Bible, when I started reading the Bible myself, I started seeing the answers to the world, to life, to the universe. When I read
Mhm.
the Quran and I studied Islam, I started seeing so many answers to universe, life, and the world.
Mhm.
However, I noticed where the trap was. I saw
Mhm.
where the trap was, and I said, "Oh wow, this is." It's like people don't realize, like, okay, it's like with I'm gonna use food as an example, right?
Mhm.
If we have a certain food that just really helps us and makes us feel good, and we like eating
Mhm.
this food, let's say it's apples, right? And it's good for us, and we find nutrition, but
Uh-huh.
we notice that every time we eat, if we eat an apple a day, our stomach jitters don't return, right? Or we
Yeah.
eat ginger and
Mhm.
we never have a stomach issue ever again, and we continue to eat ginger. But somebody comes along and says, if you do this, it may help, but you do it and you realize it don't really align with your physique, with your blood type or your body, right? Why do you keep doing
Mhm.
it, right? And
That's
that's what
yeah.
people are doing with religion. It's like this fear has been put in their mind. So if they don't follow this, then they're going to suffer the consequences. But it's like, it's not good for you. You're not going to go and marry no 9-year-old.
Mhm.
You're not going to go and rape a boy, an altar boy, calling yourself a priest. Like, you're going to actually live the life that you know what I mean? So, like, why not
Right.
take what works for you and leave the rest? That's what we're supposed to do in this life. That's the secret right there. That's what I learned.
Mhm.
It's just like the 12-step program with alcoholics. Not every alcoholic or drug addict needs the entire 12-step program, but they preach that. Go to meetings every day.
Mhm.
Go to continue to make sure that you're going to the meetings and don't stop going. And when I was at those meetings, I saw the same people with the same
Mhm.
stories, and they were there every single week, and they were there several times a week. This one guy got so upset because he couldn't find a meeting. There was something going on. They
Wow.
had the meetings were just like not. He couldn't find any meeting for that day, and he or the following day, and he just was so upset. He was asking everybody in the meeting, is the meeting is tomorrow? Everything was like shut down or something, and he just couldn't find a meeting. He was so upset, and I said to myself, why is this man so bothered by there not being a meeting? Hasn't he got his sobriety in check? And I realized he's
Mhm.
got that fear that he's going to go back to the same thing if he doesn't go to a meeting.
Right.
Bro,
Because now
you
that
got
is
to
what is
find
being
something
that's being
internal, gang.
programmed inside of him. That's what's being programmed inside of him.
Yeah,
You see, it's about the programming, the divide. Let me mess your mind up. Let me keep your mind thinking that you're not good enough, that you can't get this done. You need this program to get. You need this, you need the other in order to advance, in order to get to that next level. You see, the programming, the divide. Mm, and that is so sad that a lot of people are not independent thinkers. They
yeah,
need somebody. That's what religion did to us. Make us, oh, the pastor will have to give an account for your soul. And then you turn around and tell me every man is gotta give an account for them own self. You see? So you sending mixing, is it the pastor gotta give an account? Or is it me? Or is I do I have so you dividing that person mind, you making them unstable in their belief system. And so what I do, I end up getting stuck. I do the most comfortable thing.
yeah.
And the most comfortable thing is to continue to cling on to
Mm, mm,
what I
mm.
was taught.
I like that you said cling on to, because it made perfect sense when this guy, he had showed up at a meeting, right? And he wanted to inspire people, and he came and spoke, and he said, I came to the meetings or whatever, and he found what he needed. He got what he needed from 12-step program, and and he admitted like some of the steps he didn't really use because he didn't need that. He didn't need to make
Mm-hmm.
amends to his family because he didn't hurt anybody in his process. It was
Mm-hmm.
just him, and he didn't steal from his family. He didn't have, so he skips steps that didn't apply to him. But this man's
There you
traveling
go.
the world. He wasn't on cigarettes or coffee or anything like that. Like most of these people, you go to those meetings, almost everybody's addicted to cigarettes. They're all addicted
Yep,
to
because they
coffee
will
because
find
they can't
something
get
new.
that other drug. So they got to fill it with something else.
Yeah,
And then they're filling it
they
with
find
this meeting. But
something
this
new.
guy was traveling the world. He's
Yep.
got business. He's living life. And I'm like, why can't any of these other people do this? Because they're trapped in that cycle. And you go and listening to the same people tell their story over and over and over again, and how they hit rock bottom. And it's like, no wonder half of these
Mhm.
people are relapsing, man. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? You make it sound so good, like, man, I was getting so high and I was doing this and doing that. And people like, well, I mean, you're here, so maybe if I relapse, all I gotta do is come back to the meetings and I'll be okay.
Okay. That's come
They've
there
just,
again. Brain, brainwash. If you want to cycle, divide your thinking. Don't make you believe that you're able to get out of the system.
yeah,
You can't get
yeah.
out of the system. I,
It was sad,
mm-mm,
and here I am, I was saying to myself, I'm like, I have to come to these meetings because I needed the cheap rent at the time, and the
mm-hmm,
sober house required you to go to the meetings, and I could relate because I was addicted to the lifestyle, the money. I
mm-hmm,
was addicted to pills,
mm-hmm,
but when I didn't want to do those things anymore, I just stopped doing them. And I found
yep,
something in me that said, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, and I've
yep,
said this before, I don't like an inanimate object having control over me. So a cigarette, a
mm-hmm,
pill, a drug, I'm not going to allow that to take control over my life. I am going to dictate
mm-hmm.
and control my life. And so,
That's it.
we can take that. There's some people that just have that, and I get it, and other people need a little more structure, and that's okay. Use that structure, but
Yep,
keep looking for something where you can dismiss that, where you're not just trading one drug for another. All you're
another.
doing is filling that hole or filling that void with meetings
Temporary fix, and
every
that's the
day.
thing about it. It's a temporary fix.
Yeah,
It only becomes a temporary fix.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because if you don't have a meeting, like that guy, he probably ended up relapsing, you know, because
Yeah.
if he's unable to find a meeting, he's gonna just feel like all hope is lost. Like, you should have seen this guy. You would have
Mhm.
been like, what in the hell, man? Like, do I talk to him? Do I, But when you're watching him, it's like I didn't think there was anything I could say that would have helped him. I was in shock. I was in awe. I couldn't believe that he was in such bad shape and so disappointed that he couldn't find a meeting for tomorrow. And this guy goes to meetings 7 days a week.
He became codependent. It's just like
Yeah,
I leave drinking alcohol to smoking cigarette. I leave smoking cigarette to eating chocolate. I leave eating chocolate to, you understand? So
yeah,
you still got a codependent on something
yeah,
outside of yourself.
yeah.
And that is what they've taught us. You can't do this by yourself. You need someone to lean on. You need someone to do this with. Yeah,
Facts. Yeah.
codependency. Yeah.
I mean,
And
losing
so
losing his
and that,
jobs, and losing
mhm,
relationship with his daughter. And I was just saying to myself, bro, you lost this because you go to these fucking meetings every single day and you will not deviate. And your daughter wants to hang out with you. You won't go because you got to go to this meeting at this time, but you were
mhm,
working all day and you
mhm,
can't skip one day to go hang out with your daughter,
yep,
which a relationship you already
yeah,
severed from your alcohol abuse, bro. I was in my mind like, yo, this is insane. I ain't never seen nothing like this. I said, man,
Mhm.
you got to be tripping. I don't need this gang. And then you know,
Mhm.
like there's stories of people that just quit cold turkey and they quit some of the hardest drugs. You know, if the story of Ray
Mhm.
Charles is true and he quit without nothing and never touched the stuff again, and so his family and friends have said, you know, and you know, they put that part of the movie too. It was like, bro, you just need to find something to say, listen, I don't want to do this no more. Period.
Mhm.
He didn't
Mhm.
do no 12-step program. I mean, he had his music. He didn't want to lose his music. So he said, I'm going to kick this shit. And he went into the little place or whatever. He said, don't give me no needles. I don't even want to see a needle. And he never touched it again. So why do you need that if you know, and if you need it for a time, okay, I'm going to these meetings for 3 months, 6 months, whatever, even a year. I got myself together. I don't need that anymore. I'm not gonna be bound to these meetings like I was bound to that
Mhm.
drug. I don't understand
Yes,
this
yeah.
system.
Yeah. There again, it comes to come back to the programming. They program you to need this system. They program you to need this thing. They program you to know that if you don't come to this, you're gonna relapse. If you don't come to this, you're gonna, you know, you're not gonna make it through. So it's the programming.
Yeah,
They did a beautiful job with the programming. They
yeah.
created some magnificent programs. You
You know what else is crazy? You know, this is part of the
Mm-hmm.
divide too, because they divide us from ourselves, from our higher selves.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And what was crazy to me was they say things like, and you know this is true. Any psychologist, any doctor, anybody with a brain is going to tell you that if you want to change something, you got to change yourself and you got to change your surroundings too. You can't
Yep.
hang out at on the corner with your drug
The
dealing
same
friends and
corner.
your drinking buddies
Yeah.
and not expect to fall back into that, right? But you're hanging
Yeah.
around other drug addicts at a meeting every single day. How do you expect not to relapse when all you're
Make
hearing
it
is
make sense.
sad stories of how they hit rock bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking
Make it
about
make sense.
vacations or life.
Yep. It's all about what they just overcame or what they been drinking or been smoking or uh, it's nothing to free them from that. Wow. From that mindset and that thinking that they can't get out of this. Hmm. Wow.
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
yeah.
Now, how do
They-
you help someone who is in that place of codependency after they've been so divided in their mind, divided from their families, divided from everything that they know?
mm, yeah. And
Mm.
they got melanated divided from Caucasian. You got melanated
Mhm.
divided from melanated. Caucasian divided from Caucasian. Oh, that's poor white trash, or you know, they're Hicks or whatever. So what if
Mhm.
he's a hick? He likes to wear camo and he does things that are hicks that's fun for him. He's living his life. What is wrong with that? Like it, it's not hurting anybody. He's not even hurting
Because
himself. As a matter of fact, he likes doing these things that's not even hurting himself. Why do you have such a divide or such a problem with that? But they find the differences. We're trained to look for the differences in us, in ourselves, and in our fellow man, as opposed to the similarities.
judge
You put your pants on
judging.
one leg at a time, just like me.
Mm. That, what do you call that? That judgmental mentality.
Yeah.
I meet my standard. This is the standard. And so, because that's the standard for you, does not necessarily mean it's the standard for me,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so, that's why I say everything they did is to divide us, is to keep us competing with one another, keep us tearing down one another, keep us ostracizing one another,
Yeah.
mm,
Facts.
keep us from seeing the best in each other. Wow. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
They did a pretty good job. But the good thing about it is we are waking up. We are waking up. We're no longer asleep. We're no longer stuck in their hamster wheel. So much of us are now awoke.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can see it, you can feel it all over the world. Like I felt it long
Yeah.
before I knew it. Like I was like, something's happening, something's changing. This is
Yeah.
before I was even like studying other people that was, saying the same message. This is before we met and before the tribe
Mm-hmm.
was started or whatever. Like it, I was just like, something's different. And the
Yep.
more I started to look into things, the more my eyes were opening and those goggles started to get more
Mm-hmm.
less blurry and more tuned to what I was focused on. I
Mm-hmm.
started to notice, and you could feel the shift. You can feel the change. You don't have to see it on the news. Like they said,
Yep.
the revolution won't be televised anyway. It's just gonna happen. And you can see it too in the news, and you can see it in the public eye, but you feel it before then, before anything.
You can feel it before then. Yep. You feel it before it even transpired. Because even for me, like when I tell people um, the road that I came in terms of being in the church, but not only just being in church, but being a preacher. You understand? Preaching that word and stuff like that. And so when you come out and you realize like, hey, hold on, everything that I've been preaching and teaching has been hijacked. You understand? And a lot of people still don't understand it to the day. Why did I walk away from the church the way I walked away? And it ain't for everybody to understand as yet. As they grow, they'll realize and they'll recognize for themselves. You understand? It ain't for me to force it on them. It's just for me to live that life of change that I came into, came to understand, you know. But walk away from church, you walk away from preaching, you walk away from, yes,
Yeah,
walk away from all of that. Why? Because what I now know, and I come back to researching and studying and having the desire for the truth, having the desire for more, you know, that was there. That was like my mind. I always used to be hearing this little, my higher self saying, "There's more to life than this. There's more." But I'm trying to figure out what is there more to life than, you understand? You know, when you live in that life, you got your little house, you got your car, you got your family, you got all the things, the necessities of life that you think is, you done made it. I made it, man. I good, you know. But in actuality, you weren't as good as you think you are. There was still more that was missing. And so I took a time out and I just like, I went on a 40-day fast. I just turned my plate down. I was like, I got to know. I have to know. No, no, I don't want just, um, what you think. I don't just want to, um, have a a feeling. I don't want just a feeling. I wanted it to know. And that same video you saw me I did yesterday, giving the tribute. That was the clarion call. That song Jerusalem came out. That little African beat from South Africa. Jerusalem, Yalami. When that song came out, I think the whole world was dancing to that song.
mm,
And then this young man came on. He was speaking this Kikongo language, and it just was resonating in my spirit. The words was just like
Mm,
Wow, can't even explain that awakening. It literally was an awakening, and it was
mm,
just a path in terms to get me to where I am right now. So you have to pass through the Bantu, like how people pass through Hebrew Israelite, or they pass through Muslim, or they pass through Christianity. You pass through some spiritual religion to get to you to know that hey, there's more to this universe, there's more to the divine creator than just church. It's about a personal relationship. And so when you're talking about the great divide came to separate, just as it right. Ooh, the great divide came to separate us from ourselves and the divine creator who created us that we are one with. So if you don't know yourself, you are still divided in your belief system. If you ain't
mm.
seeking after who you man, yeah.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, you can't believe something and know it, right? You believe
Mm,
something because you have faith in it because you don't know it, right?
mm,
So, like, you know your mother and father,
mhm,
you know, you know,
yep.
but you believe in this faith because you're not,
Mhm,
you're not for certain, you know what I mean?
mhm.
So when you start to actually know thyself, now
Mm,
you have a
ah,
knowing. Now it's much different than just, oh, I believe this, I believe that. Listen, no, I know I have
mm,
a great relationship with the divine creator. I
yes.
know that I am moving away from the divide and the division that I had with my higher self, the division that I had with
Mhm,
people, and we
mhm,
we spoke about this before, how I told you guys, I wouldn't even speak to somebody just when, somebody just greeting me, you know.
mhm.
I know we say grand rising, but at that time people were just saying good morning, they're just wishing me,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, a happy day, oh, it's a nice day outside, huh? And I'm giving them a smug look like, what the hell you talking to me for? But that was the division I was under.
Yeah,
It wasn't until I
understandable.
started to know myself, I said, oh no, I'm speaking to myself in another life, in
Mm,
another form, in another
mm,
dynamic. This person is me and I am them. And we are one. And if we connect that way, they wouldn't have these traps that they have on us. And
that's
we
it.
wouldn't have to even speak. I know what this person
Mhm,
wants because we are so connected that I'm giving them what I would want, which is love, which is
mhm.
peace, which is tranquility, so forth, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean. I've got this big feast made. You just came in from God knows where, and I'm just gonna assume you're not hungry or thirsty. I'm not going to offer
Mm,
you anything. Most
mhm.
people, when you go to your mother's house, you go to your grandparents' house, they say, sit down and eat something. They don't ask you if you're hungry. They tell you,
Yeah.
sit down and eat something.
You thinking, yep,
You see the difference? So, yeah,
this is
I,
true.
I totally just, I started understanding things going through Christianity, going through Islam. I started to understand where the truth
Mhm.
was, and there's good information in that stuff, but you got to research it for yourself. You can't let this
That's what we
pastor.
supposed to do. We're supposed to be gathering information and because we're on a journey. So we ain't supposed to get stuck in one place. We're supposed to continuously be growing and learning and gathering information and learning ourselves and learning who we are. But because we get stuck in the tradition of man, is what happened to us. We get that's what happened. Yep. And we
Facts.
got stuck right there, you know? And that hold us, what do you call it? Hold us captive. Because now it's
Yeah,
like, what do I believe? How do I believe? When do I, so that's the divide now. Let me give them an education divide to family. Send the children to school, mommy to work, daddy to work. Or, okay, now you know this is the system. Okay, we can give you this money, but this man can't live in the house with you. So divide the family. The great divide is so massive. Uh, if you read, I think is oh goodness, what's there was an article that I read that I probably got to find it and I'll talk about it again another time. But it was the same thing. It was about dividing us among ourselves. Same divide and conquer mentality, you know? Uh, oh wow, I used to talk about it a lot before when I first came into this awakening, this consciousness. I used to talk about how they do.
Mm, yeah.
Wow, wow.
There's division so many different and almost every area and every aspect of our lives. There's so much division, even within ourselves.
Mhm,
It, like you said earlier, they did a wonderful job, you know, and that's we have to give credit where credit is due. People
mhm,
don't want to give credit to something that may be negative, but it's like you have to recognize it. That's like saying that Hitler wasn't a genius.
mhm,
Just because he did bad things did not this does not make him not a genius.
mhm,
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter what your feelings on the matter is. You have to face the facts. This man did great things, terrible
mhm,
things, yes, but
mhm,
still great. To conquer an
mhm.
entire nation
Race
and
of
then
people,
start to
yeah.
take
Yeah.
over even more of the world around that nation, that's come on. You know what I mean? So what they
Let me tell
did
you
to
something.
us as humanity, as society, you can do
Ooh,
nothing but
you know
take
what
your
that is?
head
You know
off.
what the story with Hilton is? You know what that story? Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, sister. I was done.
You there? Yeah. As you're saying, you know what that story with Hitler tells me also? You got to be careful how we treat children, whether it's our
Mm,
biological or not. But remember, Hitler was not a biological child, but he was a rock child.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
You see?
fact.
And so how they treated him sparked anger and bitterness in him that he was
Yeah.
willing to take out everybody that was connected to those people.
Mm,
People
yeah.
saying they was Jews. They was not Jews. They was Jewish. They was they, they, ooh, so that man, the bitterness he had because of how they handled him as a child
Yeah.
is what caused him to take the lives of those people and try to wipe them all out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's right.
A serious thing. We gotta
That's
be
why we
careful
have.
that divide, you know. And I tell some women, if you're dating a man and you know that man have children or have a child, that means you telling that man, I accept you with that child, because he done tell you, listen, I have a son or I have a daughter, or I have children. Okay, I accept you. When you accept him, you accept those children. When a man dating a woman and she say, hey, I have children, and he decided he was going to continue to pursue her, that means he decided, I accept those children. But now here comes the divide. You say you accept them with your mouth, but in your heart, you're saying once you get married to this man, once you get married to this woman, these children you're gonna treat a certain kind of way and stuff like that. That's divide.
Yeah.
You're creating something that you are not ready or prepared for what is gonna come after repercussion. And
Facts.
that's why we have to be careful how we even treat children
Yeah.
because we're
Fact.
shaping the future.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And
Ooh.
it's strange
Ooh.
because a lot of people won't blame themselves for how a child responds to them, like when they get older or something. They won't blame themselves for that. They'll say,
Mm.
"Oh, he was such a good kid," and I did the best I could, or I read, well, he just went out and did this crazy thing, or he chose not to, like my mother does that. She says that a lot. When she
Mm-hmm.
did was having contact with my wife
Mm-hmm.
for my son's sake. She constantly blame me for the things that I chose to protect myself
Yeah,
from her toxicity, right?
yeah,
That has nothing to do with anything that I'm choosing, like, oh, I just don't want to be a part. Listen, you drove that wedge as far as you can
mm-hmm.
drive it, and there's only so much a log can take before it cracks in half. You kept
That's right.
driving the wedge into the log, or you kept throwing monkey wrenches into the machine, and constantly the machine keeps breaking down. And when an employer finds out that an employee keeps messing up the machine on purpose so he can go home early, he's gonna let that person go. Listen, I'm gonna find somebody else who wants to be here, who wants to do the work.
That's it.
So we don't look at it that way. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for that experience, because I know I'm raising my son in the best possible way I can. And if I'm gonna make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes, but I'm gonna atone for those mistakes, and I'm gonna own those. And I constantly tell him how much of a superhero he is, and how
That's
special he
it.
is, and that he can heal the world, and he can do this. And I'm constantly showing him that there's bad guys and then there's good guys, and you have to choose which one you want to be. And like, I love the way he responds, because he shows that
It's
he's
listening.
gonna constantly always choose good. He's
Mm-hmm.
gonna make some mistakes because he's faulted. He's human. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I don't see him turning into Hitler or any of these, Jeffrey Dahmers or anything like that, because I'm not instilling that in him or treating him some type of way, you know,
No,
because you either go
absolutely.
that way or you turn into David Pezler. I don't know if anybody knows David Pezler. He wrote the book A Child Called It, and everything that child went through, he could have turned into a complete monster. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've read the book over a few times. I still read it. And, just the way that mother treated that child is despicable, but he could have turned it completely south.
Yeah.
So you go one way or the other. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about choice and what's truly in your heart, what you want, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's a serious thing. So that divide is something that we gotta pay attention to, even in our conversation when we're talking and how we condescendingly talking about somebody or something. You understand? It is driving a wedge of divide. So we got this, the words that we speak and the tone in which we speak. We gotta be very much conscious.
Mm.
It's all about consciousness now. Be conscious in what we say and what we do and how we treat people, you know, because you could divide.
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
So if we ain't adding, we subtracting, you know. If we ain't multiplying, we dividing. So we gotta be careful of what it is we're doing.
Yeah. Got to be mindful.
Mm,
And I
gotta be
when it was fresh, when the situation was fresh, like the with like my family, my mom and friends,
Mhm,
brothers, whatever. Like, I noticed that tone was there. I'm so glad you
mhm,
mentioned that, because I had to change that. I said, I got to make sure I forgive them for me. I got to make sure that I forgive them for my son, because I don't want him to judge the situation like, oh man, because like you'll hear like, oh, this brother's still angry, and I don't
mhm,
want anybody to hear that when I'm speaking of these things that I've went through. You don't need to hear the
yeah,
anger, because I'm not angry anymore. I shouldn't be angry anymore,
mm.
you know,
That's a part of the
and
past. That's no longer you.
right. And it can't hurt me anymore. That's when it's safe to say the word can't. It cannot hurt me
Mm,
anymore. It already happened. It's in the past. So once you get over something and you move forward,
Mm-hmm.
it's not, you know what I mean? It's not it's not hurting you today. It hurt you
You take back
yesterday.
your power. You took back your power.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what you
right.
do. You take back your power. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And that healing power, I'm able to transfer that to my to
Mm-hmm.
my to my children, and able to
That's
teach them,
right.
listen, I'm not mad, I'm not treating you this way because I'm still angry with my dad, or I'm still angry with my
Mm-hmm.
brother, you know, or this, that, and the
Mm-hmm.
third. Like, I'm able to take that, internalize it, and then regurgitate it in a healthier way.
Yep.
That's why I love when
Mm-hmm.
people ask me. It actually flatters me when they ask me, how do you talk about your pain so casually? How do you just speak about it like it was? And I can tell that they're still in pain because they're asking me that,
Mm-hmm.
because it should be an obvious answer. You guys have never
Mm-hmm.
asked me that, but there's
Mm-hmm.
other people that have asked me, then they're still in pain, and we see that through some of the tribe members that have come and gone.
Yep.
Those are the members that were actually asking me those things, and I'm
I
like,
see.
man, yeah, they was in pain, and it's no wonder
You're
they're
still in
still not
pain.
here, because
Mm-hmm.
they're letting their
You're
pain
here.
bother them, because especially when they come to me and they ask me them questions, when the first one of the original founder brothers asked me that, how do you speak, how do you talk about that, it don't bother you, or how do you sit around, or where you live at, and it don't bother, because it shouldn't bother me, gang. This is, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm. It's a
this is
part of your
just an
past.
experience. Why should I let that trap my spirit, my mind, my soul, and it all it has is
Mm-hmm.
my body temporarily,
Yep.
you know it I don't know.
Yeah.
it's it's a
Yeah.
strange thing to us.
But see, the thing is why you can talk about it because you're healed. There's a difference versus because somebody who isn't healed, when they talk about it, it will get them so emotional, so worked up, so riled up. But when a person is healed from that past trauma, it no longer divides themselves because that's what you are. When you're not healed, you are divided. You're not functioning at your fullest capacity. You're divided mentally. You're divided spiritually. You're divided emotionally
Yeah,
because you're not healed. But
yeah,
when you heal, listen, guess what? You could talk about being raped, you could talk about being on drugs, you could talk about being a drug dealer, you could talk about being a prostitute, you could talk about being a pimp, you could talk about, you know,
yeah,
anything that you are healed from, you could talk about it without being emotional. The only emotion is the excitement, the joy of, hey, wow, I am delivered from this. Hey, my goodness, I can remember when I was, that's a hype kind of, you understand me? But not with saying, oh, this will
yeah,
happen to me. My daddy did this, and my mommy did this, and my mother did start cussing and get not, like you want to go and fight. That's the difference. So we have to ask you that question because we see how you are healed.
yeah.
And healing is not just a one-time thing. Healing is a continuous process.
Facts.
It's a continuous process. And so you are on your journey and you ain't letting nothing
Yeah.
steal your joy, steal
Process.
your peace, steal your love. Nope,
Yeah.
nope, nope, nope. Yeah,
And to those of the audience that's listening to us right now, the best way I found that I was doing, obviously, shadow work, counseling, stuff like that. But the best method I found was, I had those conversations with those people in my head. And
yeah. I
the
see
first
them.
conversation, it was anger. No, you did this to me. You know what I mean? You a piece of shit, or whatever.
Hmm.
Like, I had it. It started there, and I had those
Hmm.
conversations in my head, or with myself. But I was talking to that person. I was talking to my brother. I was talking to my mother. I was talking to my dad. I was talking to these people in that manner at first, and then eventually the conversations started to shift, Now I'm having the conversation like I constantly run into them in my
Mm-hmm.
fantasy world, in my mind. I run into them, or they, happen to stop me in the store and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm handling it differently just in my mind. So I know when I see them in person, if I ever see them again, I know that I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to freak out. I'm just going to simply tell them, listen, I don't want what you have to offer. I love me enough to say that, I forgive you, but there's nothing we really have to, really discuss. You know what I mean?
No, we,
Especially if
that's
you're
it.
just if you just want to talk about, and most people that's all they want to do. They want to either ignore the problem,
Regurgitate
they want
peas.
to, yeah,
Regurgitate peas.
right. Or they want to come at it like,
No.
oh, you could have hit me up, right? Or something like that. Like, what do you mean? Why is it now being pointed at me? Like, I'm not innocent in this. However, I did offer a space where we could work through it, and you ignored that.
Mm-hmm.
You spat
Yep.
on that. You didn't want to heal with me, and that's a
Yeah.
problem because I want to
And
heal.
let
I don't
me
want to sit around and have that. And I
let
had
me
that
tell you
all
something.
throughout my childhood, all throughout my young
When you
adult
heal
life.
by yourself, yeah, when you heal by yourself, boy, it's hard to let people in that space to irritate or to interfere with that healing process. Listen, what? Mm-mm.
Because
You
that's
go
all
your
they
way. Go your way.
Yeah, facts. That's
Yeah.
all they want to do. And there's constantly reach outs. There's been reach outs from between then and now. There's been a few reach
Mm-hmm.
outs that I don't even answer them. I don't even
Yeah.
respond. You know, like uh one thing my mother said to my wife. She said she was just going off. This is why he don't have nothing and blah 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 because he's full of himself or this that and the third. And I started to say I don't have nothing, but I had just gotten my grant, sister. I literally had just gotten
Mm-hmm.
my grants, had the business started, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. We
Mm-hmm.
had the tribe going and everything, and I was like, man, I was like, that was my ego that wanted to be like, man, tell her everything you
Yes,
just accomplished.
oh, I know.
No, I don't even have to get into that. She can assume that I don't have anything. Let her assume that.
Yeah.
Same thing
Yeah.
with my brother. Reach out and wanted to, I know it's been a while or something. That's all I seen because the message is cut off and I never opened the message because there's no point. There's no need. I know
Yeah.
that you're not, I know in my journey and in my healing, I know that you're not in the space where you're just going to be like, you
Yeah.
know what, bro, I shouldn't have cussed you out like that. Because that would have been the first line if that was the case. If that's
Mm-hmm.
the way he was coming, that would have been the first line, and I would have saw that instead of I know it's been a while. Okay, it's been a
Yeah.
while. That's all I saw, and it's because it's in the notifications. But
Mm.
the first sentence, if that was me, I know it would have been, "I apologize." Is all you would have seen. I want
Yep.
to apologize for, and then it may have cut off there. A person is more likely to open that. You
Yeah.
know, I know I didn't do anything wrong that night. That doesn't mean I haven't done anything wrong to you in the past or anything like that. But for you to talk to me the way you did when I came to vent to you, yeah, there's nothing for us to talk about, brother.
Yeah. You shut that door. You shut
Yeah,
the door and I ain't opening it. That's it.
yeah. And you guys helped me with that too, because I I mistakenly had this notion and this idea, like, I'm a heal, maybe give them some time, maybe they'll heal and come back or whatever. But no, there's no coming back from that type of uh situation because
Mm-hmm.
you're only looking to get back in just so you can hurt me again.
Yep.
Because if the healing process was real for them, they would be healing and they wouldn't take no for an answer, you know? Like I didn't take no for an answer when I wanted to make amends and apologize for the things I did to the people that I did them to. I didn't take no
That's
for
what
an
you
answer.
do.
I manifested. this man Bubba out here, right? And the way I treated him, because he asked me not to use the N word, but I was a YN at the time. I was, dumb, young, and full of cum, and
Okay.
he asked me not to use that. And now I don't even use the word, but that was from my studies when I was sitting in the joint. I was doing my studies like, man, I'm reading this stuff, and I read Willie Lynch's letter. I said, I'm never using that word ever again. Are you crazy? That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And he called
Yeah.
it. This man called it over 400 something years ago. He knew what that word would bring and how much detriment it would bring to your own soul just by speaking it. I said, I'm never using
Mm-hmm.
that word again. But I didn't know that when Bubba was telling me, and we was all, we hanging out at the crack house. I'm selling my drugs, whatever. He's there to get his little crack, whatever. He said, hey, man, listen, don't call me that. I'm nobody's N word. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, nigga, fuck you.
Ain't that
You
serious?
understand? Like, whatever you talk about, I'm going to say what I want to say, right? I didn't realize, but when I read that letter and I was sitting in the joint, I manifested meeting him again, seeing him again. And lo
Yeah.
and behold, I went
Okay.
to a cookout with one of my buddies, and I said, Bubba, I saw him. I said, Bubba, what's up, man? I need to talk to you. And called him over. And I said, bro, I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I don't know if you remember this. And I explained the situation. He said, no, I remember you. I remember it. I said, bro, I apologize. I was wrong. Blase, blase. I gave him a hug. I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't let
Yeah.
him just, and we sat there and spoke that whole cookout. I ain't speak to nobody else the whole time. I was speaking to him the whole time, like, bro, you have no idea what changed in me when I first
Yeah.
figured out what that word meant. You were the first person that
Mm-hmm.
popped in my head because you were the only person who ever said, don't call me that. I never ran into nobody like that before. So yo, don't call me that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nobody's nigga. Nobody's. I
Yeah.
said, damn. And that spoke to my spirit when I was reading and doing my
Yep.
learning. I said, "Damn, that word is so freaking horrible, man!" Like, and we
Yes, it
just don't
is.
understand how bad it is. So I don't
We
drop it
just
anymore.
casually use. We just can. We just they just casually use it.
Right?
They
Yeah,
don't know the implications of it. Yeah.
yeah. And I didn't. I just used it for context today, but that was just so the audience can
Mm-hmm.
understand like how powerful it sounded when I said, man, please get the
Yeah.
F out of here, man. Man, I'll say what I want to say. But
Mm-hmm.
you not truly healed until you can get that word out of your vocabulary, you know?
Yeah.
In
That's the
my
thing.
opinion. You still got some serious healing to do, and you have no idea how harmful you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your children, you're hurting the people around you by saying it. You need to go read that man's letter because he said
Yep.
this will last
Amen.
hundreds of years, generations,
Yep.
and you won't even have to
Generation.
call them out of their name. They'll do it themselves. When I
Themselves.
sat and read that, I could not stop thinking. I was just in my own head, sister, for days, weeks, months. I
Yep.
couldn't get the thought out of my head. And I've been looking for the letters somewhere in my stuff because I took all my stuff out of there. I ain't leave nothing behind. You know how
Yep.
most people leave stuff behind? All I had was knowledge and stuff. I wasn't in there with a bunch of sneakers and all this other junk people was buying. I didn't want that. I had books. I got books up in my place,
Mhm.
in my closet. So I just came out and I took everything with me. So I haven't been able to put my hands on it, but I had it. It's in there somewhere. It's in my
Mhm.
stuff. And I've been looking for it, but I was just like, man, yeah, no,
Mhm.
I'm not ever
Find
saying
your
that word
phone.
again. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
in context, I may say it to get the point across so people, can understand how it sounds when you say the full phrase or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's powerful.
Mhm. I read that Willie Lynch letter and I shared it with my audience. He said I could teach you how to keep them enslaved for another 200 years. You could teach your children. and keep them and
Yeah,
stay there for that. Every 200 years, recycle it.
yeah,
It's a serious thing. There again, what that is all about divide, divide. How to divide them, how to keep them entrapped in their own minds, how to keep them entrapped in their own mind, how that they can't see themselves out of their present situation and circumstances. Mm-mm. Powerful, powerful. That's why it's so important for us to know ourselves, to know who we are, know
yeah,
what's inside of us, know the abilities that we have.
yeah.
We don't know, somebody
Yeah, we
else
don't.
will teach us. Hmm.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is they 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 are defending. They're defending that word out there. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
they're out there defending it. Oh, it's a term of endearment. So you think your 40 years of endearment is going to erase 400? Please do the
Hmm.
math on that for me. Do the math on that. You know, 50 years at most. They've been saying, oh, it's a term of endearment. You know, we call each other that. Yeah, well, let's do the math. That word has had 400 years to gain traction and energy in the negative space. What the fuck is your 50 years going to do to that? You ain't even
Nothing.
reached a century. They got centuries on you, gang. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Centuries on you. Yeah, you bugging. You're insane if you think you ain't if you think that's gonna make any sense at all. You
No,
know,
none. No,
I don't I don't see the logic.
none
I don't
at
see the
all.
math how it adds up. But hey,
They
I
don't
gotta let
have,
them be in their space.
they don't have, guess what? That's what they, that's how they want you to, that's how they want you to think. That's how they want you to think. You know?
Yeah,
Hmm. Keep them ignorant. They say keep them barefoot and pregnant. Keep them ignorant.
yeah,
Oh, my dear.
yeah.
God, what?
It's like, I
Is-
watched the brother, just I think it uh was it Blue Pillar or Red Pillar? One of them just was on Black Magic talking about they don't like the term YN, right? And they was breaking it down how they don't like it or whatever. But, you know, Radiohead Rich uses that word all the time.
Uh-huh.
I watch his lives. He uses it all the time. He may not say the young in front of it, but he's constantly dropping
Uh-huh.
that N bomb.
Yep.
Bro,
Constantly.
you know, and as conscious as you are, you might need to go back and do some research on that word, like some real
Yep.
research. You don't even realize you not. And there's people in the conscious community that don't use it at all, and you can hear that
At
they
all.
want to use it, almost come out, but they stop themselves. You just let it fly, bro.
True.
You know.
Um,
And
it's as
it's
if you
not to
don't
say
care.
you're not doing good things out here, you getting the community together, or whatever, whatever. But at the same time, you don't
At what
realize
price?
how much
See,
pain you causing.
let me tell you something. And let me, at what price? Because he said something the other day. He about the money. He about the paper. So are you doing what you're doing to really wake up the conscious community? Or are you doing what you're doing because you're making money?
Mm, mm,
I see for me, I don't get all hype up. I listen to people. Some things will
yeah,
slip some people. You want things to slip you, but you gotta pay attention to what people say.
yeah,
You don't gotta ask for the money. I'll ask for the money. I about the money. Okay, and that's fine because he gotta live. That's his business and stuff like that. You understand? That's his. And that's his thingamabob operating and stuff like that, which is fine and dandy, you know. You can't knock a person for trying to making money and stuff like that. So he could drop that word the way he's dropping that word because to him it's all a part of the job.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all a part of the job. So if it's just a part of the job, the consciousness of the word don't mean that much.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so
Yeah.
we got, but they don't understand the cage that word, because that word carries a spirit because of where it was rooted and where it was captured.
Yeah.
So when you can use that word and you put that out there, you're putting that out into the atmosphere. It becomes what we say spirit, and guess what? It goes and it entraps somebody's soul.
Yeah.
So somebody becomes stuck because of that very word you spoke out there, and they was tuning in and listening to you at the time when you spoke that word.
Yeah.
So you also got to be careful of whose souls you entrapping,
Yeah.
that you're
Facts.
capturing. Yep.
Yeah. And it bothers some people, like, how it bothered Bubba when I was saying it. It really bothered him. And I saw
Mm-hmm.
that and didn't even care. Did not even
Yep.
care about my own brother's feelings, about his notions, about his ideas. There's something I could have learned from that brother that day, and it might have stopped me or saved me from going inside that cage. It's
Yep.
not like I didn't have a brain or a head in between my shoulders. I was reading the Bible. I was doing my spiritual journey then. I didn't know what I know now, but I was still on that path, and it may have put me on that path sooner, but I just didn't realize how much pain that I was
That
causing
word
myself,
too.
and how I was holding myself back just by speaking it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just by speaking, I was
Yeah.
holding myself back tremendously. And I don't like how, you know, melanated people will say the saltine word either, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're saying it, you get away with it. But if that same saltine person, if that Caucasian person said that inbound, you want to flip out. You have no
Oh yeah.
right.
Big thing.
You have absolutely no right to freak out because you say it yourself, and then you call him a saltine, and then you think it's okay. It's not okay, gang. It's not okay at all.
No.
You know what I'm saying? None of those derogatory terms are okay. And if you really living in your true self, in your spiritual self, you're not gonna say that to nobody. You're gonna call a
Yeah.
person what
You
they
don't know.
want to be called. You know,
Mm-hmm.
call me Dr. Sublime. Call me Empress Oracle Queen P. Call me J Hooks the Great. Why not? Call me
Yep.
Speculum Ambulo. You have every
Don't
right to
call
be
me.
called what resonates with you. Don't call me that. You know what I'm
Don't
saying?
call
It,
me
it you
out of
might as well be
myself,
calling
out
me a
of who
B
I am.
word, a hole, or you know what I mean. I am a natural born a hole, but that word I don't mind because I know I am, and it don't bother me. But if you were to call me like something really outside of my character, I'm gonna tell you, please don't call me that, man. I don't call you names. Don't call me that, please. And then you say it anyway. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go this way because I know it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
lead to. And that brother did
Yeah.
exactly that. Bubba's like, I'm just going. He left. He left the house and just
Yeah.
dipped. And he couldn't get his point across to me. He couldn't get through to me. And rather than him, he could have bodied me right there. He could have unalived me right there, and I would have
Mm-hmm.
never seen it coming. Because he's an older head. I'm cocky. I'm young. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I got that thing on me. It ain't even on me. It's down in the cut in the alleyway in a bag of chips, looking like trash in the alleyway. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but we all the way upstairs. He could have, and I think he had a little knife on his cane thing. You know what I'm saying?
You
Like he
see?
could have ended me right
Yeah.
there.
Right there and
But
then.
and all over a word. So yeah, it's the divide is insane. And if we gotta
Yeah.
we gotta get that separation out of ourselves before we can start
What
to
about
connect
this?
with others.
Yeah.
We have to connect with ourselves, and then we will connect with others a lot better, a lot more
Mm-hmm.
fluently.
and
You
much
know?
more freer. You'll be so much freer, man. So
Yeah,
much freer. You know,
yeah,
that if you could get past the isms and the schisms, the skin tone, the where you born, the how much money you have, if we could get past those things,
yeah.
ooh, the divide would be shut. It will be shut and
Fact.
shattered, to never to be opened up again. Well, yeah, one day, one day soon, 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 we would.
You know what's crazy, sister, is you know, like we don't see that like we see it, but a lot of people like they watch us, they don't see how special we really are,
Mm,
you know? Because let me tell you how special we are, sister. And I know you already know, but the tribe is so special because look at everybody else who's in the same conscious community, right? And the same people we know,
mhm,
like we go down to the events or whatever, and we're there, whatever.
mhm,
We see these people and they got to know these people because their channel blew up, right?
mhm.
So they got to meet these people because their channel blew up a little bit. So they're able to
Yep.
get in this space with the Billy Carsons and the Rod Hayeses and you know what I mean? The
Mhm.
red pill, blue
Yeah.
pill. They're able to get into these spaces because their channel blew up a little bit.
Mhm.
But how many of them do you see with a tribe like we got?
None.
And we did this when we
None.
weren't even alive,
Yeah, none.
you know?
None.
So you want to talk about true consciousness and true oneness. You know what I mean? You need to look at the tribe because that's where it's at. That's where some true,
Mhm.
and it's not to take away from nothing that nobody's doing, and not, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not
No,
taking
I
away
understand
from
what you're saying.
any of these
Um,
guys, any of their accomplishments or nothing like that. I'm just
yeah.
saying you got into you got to rub shoulders with these individuals because your channel blew up
Mhm.
a little, right?
Yep, that's it. They would not
We
even look. Think about it. They would not even look at you because you ain't got more than a million followers or 100,000 followers and stuff like that. They won't even though your message may be on point and we got word in and out, but because you don't got that big following,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
facts. And that's what makes the tribe so special. Like, that's
yeah,
why
man.
we know that we're healing the people that are listening, the people that are actually tuning in every week, the people that are going to tune in the future that are going to hear these or see these videos later on and like, wow, these guys really
Hmm.
had something going with that nobody else
Yeah,
has,
man.
or nobody else is public with anyway. There are
A
tribes
lot
out
of
there, but
times, yeah, a lot of times the power isn't in the numbers, you know. The power is in the impact that you're putting out there in the atmosphere. Because a
yeah,
lot of times you don't want people to listen just for itchy ear. You want people to listen for change.
facts.
That's something that we say would change something in their life, would resonate with them to help them on their journey to continue to know that, hey, you on a journey and you will find your tribe, even if it's a transitional tribe, but so you could get what it is you need to continue to go on. And that's
Yep,
it. It
facts.
ain't about competing with somebody and trying to get highest ratings and stuff like that. It's all about making an impact. And I say that to say this. You understand? Even from me, my small tribe was very small, my group that I have, very small. But the kind of impact that we are making here in Kenya, you see, to compare to the other people who have the 100,000 followers and a million followers and stuff like that, with our little, we're making a big impact.
Yeah,
And so with the tribe, we're making a big impact. You're making
Facts.
a very big impact, and it ain't about divide. Hey, we will join you too if you want us to come and hey, we will come and speak too. But at the same time too, it ain't about a divide.
Yeah,
You know, it's about us. It's about moving together in unity.
that's right.
You know,
That's right.
being able to being able to love on one another and share with one another and build up each other and build up whatever it is that the Most High, the divine Creator, our highest self put inside of us to do.
Yeah.
You know,
And
yeah,
shout
man.
out to
Yeah,
those brothers and sisters I've met out there that we've met out there at those events that really you can feel the love. You can feel the
yeah,
power and the oneness that they want to have with others. And I'm just gonna mention
yeah,
one. Uh, Shout out to Zen's Mind. You know, you can find him on YouTube too. Zen's Mind. That's his name of his channel, and he's really after the spiritual side of things. And
yeah,
I I see a lot of us in him. And I see it with other people too I've met out there, but some people you can just tell, it's all about the ratings. It's just like a news station, we got to get the ratings up, we got to get the
yeah.
views up. But hey, listen, these videos are on here forever, man. you know so 100 years
Hmm.
from now, if this thing still exists and somebody could turn it on and get value from it 50 years from now, then we've done our job. You
Then
know
I
what I
do.
mean?
That's it.
That's how I
That's
look at
it.
it. Will the views come later? That's a side effect.
Yeah.
The views of the subscriptions or whatever. Like, we're doing building this organically. We're not we're not doing this like a lot of people do this just to, and you can tell who they are. We're not gonna name drop, or we don't want to divide
Hmm.
or break down anybody like that. But you can
Yeah.
tell, and just speaking to our audience, you can tell the people that really like being in this space. They like to just help others with the information that helps them. And then you can tell
Hmm.
that some people are just putting out the information because they know it's going to get 100,000
Popularity.
views.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Popularity.
yeah,
And that's what it is. That's what it's all about for a lot of people. News. But help. We gotta help souls, man. We gotta help people make their way, wake up to who they truly are, to their divine self. You know, and
facts.
be able to walk in the fullness of their powers, the power that is in us. We have so much power inside of us. We could bend steel and forge steel and stuff like that. We could walk through walls and all these different things. It is possible. It is
Yeah,
possible. There are some things that I have already encountered and experienced. Sometimes I'd be scared to share because I know, hey, people, they ain't gonna, they can't understand the magnitude of what is inside of you.
yeah.
You don't
And
want, you
speaking of the
understand
brother,
me?
he just tapped in too. Shout out Zen's Mind. Welcome, brother. Welcome. We was just talking. I
Yeah.
was just talking about you, man. How you can feel the love. When I met you out there. Like we could I could feel the genuine peace and tranquility and the love you have to just be in a community that everybody's just loving on each other.
Authentic.
Really
Yeah.
truly loving on each other. No holds barred, no conditions. And it's amazing. I felt that with you. And some of the other people were just, you could tell it's all about the views for them. It's all about getting the subscribers. It's all about getting paid, on YouTube or whatever. Like, man, and, and that's okay if that's their lane. I'm not shitting on them or nothing like that. I'm just saying it's just amazing how you can tell certain people just really want to be a part of a good vibe.
Yeah.
So I had to give you your flowers, while you alive, while you can still smell them. you know, and yeah, these conversations are powerful, man. The divide is sickening right now, but we got to talk about it. We got to talk
Yeah,
about it because that's the only way we're going to get that real, true unity.
yeah. And then the thing is, it's coming. It may be coming slowly, but it's coming. You know, maybe. What he said here, the Swahili say "poli poli," but it's coming. You know, it's coming, and that's the good thing about it. We continue to stay faithful and focus on what it is we are on our assignment, our personal assignments in terms of helping. Strengthening the brothers, the sisters, the gods, letting them know who they are and coming into the fullness of who they are. Oof, let me tell you, force to be reckoned with, man. We are a force to be reckoned
Yes,
with.
yes. And we gotta get this brother on here soon, man, because
Yeah,
you know he we definitely gotta get him on here.
that is. Yeah.
We gotta get him on here, man. He's very enlightened brother. You know, I appreciated meeting him more than more than people I wanted to meet there. You know, there's some people
Yeah.
I was just kind of like I don't want to say disappointed, but I just wasn't. I was expecting a little more based on how they portray themselves on camera, but it was different.
Mhm.
It was like, what? Wait a minute. Okay, all right. You know,
Yeah.
I get
It
it.
wasn't what it cracked up to be. Mm. Sometimes they call it broken expectations. We talk about that before too. Broken expectations. We have a big, massive expectations and stuff like that. Sometimes we,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's why
yeah.
we gotta
But
continue to stay. That's why it's so important to continue to stay focused. You understand? Continue to stay focused on you and your assignment and what we are here to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Nothing more than that.
it was just a blessing, sister. You know, it would have been a beautiful experience for you if you had been there because there was so many people that was full of love and
Yeah.
most of those people didn't have channels. You know, there was a few people that had they got some, got some really strong followings, you know, and I only like to mention the people that have that real positivity, you know what I mean? I don't want to because I don't want
Yeah.
to like we tear each other down too much and I'm not going to be a part of that, but so I only mention the people that I feel that was really on their game. You know what I mean? That was really on their type of time. And that's why I mentioned Zen's mind. You know what I mean? I love the fact that,
Hmm.
you meet Billy Carson and he's for real. He's not faking, it's not for the views, he don't care about none of that. He just genuinely wants to get the money, get the point across. He wants to get his point across, you know what I mean? And he wants to help people
Hmm.
get there. And there's a lot of that at these events and stuff, but
Yeah.
you you see a lot of the other, you see a lot of the other thing going on too, that I don't want to give too much energy to that. But to shout out to some of the brothers that I've met and sisters that I've met that are just genuine authenticity, like Zen's mind just had said in the chat, authenticity is so important, it's so real. And you can feel that, like you're not feeling like you feel like you feel like you're meeting a celebrity, but they don't see themselves as a celebrity. And that's true God power right there. You know what I mean? And that's why I say shout out to Zen's mind, shout out to Billy, because that's true God power when you can meet somebody and they don't act like a celebrity to you. They not walking around with all these bodyguards and like what do you need all that for? Like what do you need all that for? You know what I mean? Like we all here to spread the love.
Yeah.
But but since mine just said yes, exactly. That's been the past 8 months for me. Super
Yeah.
focused on myself work. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That'll
and I
be.
don't know if you want to mention if I kind of want to give you a shout out. I don't think you'll mind because but congratulations, brother. Again, I wanted to say congratulations, man, on your new thing that's coming up for you. Building your family or whatever. I don't want to say it until you give me the word. Give me the word in the chat if you don't mind me giving you the congratulations on live. But I just want to say congratulations. I ain't gonna say what it is unless you unless you say that it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's the divide for that. The great divide is just it's a wonderful. I'm not gonna say one. I mean, it was a great thing that. Oh yeah, okay. So yes, please. It was a great. It was a great thing that they did. It may have not been positive, but it was still great. It was a terrible thing they did that they created that great divide amongst the people.
Mm-hmm.
But great doesn't mean good all the time. It just means that it was
Yeah.
grand, like
Yeah.
Hitler did things on a
Big.
grand scale. It was a great scale. It doesn't mean it was positive, just great. So that great divide that they actually was able to divide and conquer us as a people, man,
Mm-hmm.
you got to tip your hat off to these folks that set it up because genius, man. It was genius. It worked. Checkmate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It
So
worked.
now we know how to play the game. We gotta reset the chessboard and we gotta now play the game the way the rule that now that we know the rules. We were playing the game of chess without knowing the rules before, you
Didn't know the
know?
rules. Yeah. And now
And
that you know the
so,
rules.
and it just like real quick, I just wanted to say congratulations. He said, yes, please. Congratulations on your engagement, brother. You're getting engaged and you found love, and that's awesome, man. And I want that for everybody. I found my loves. I want everybody to have that because we all deserve that who want that. But
Yes.
we don't need to have this division, man. It's not cool at all.
Not good. Not good at all. No. Not good. Mm. It's like you're trying to. It's that thing with that competition. That's why they do these competitions and stuff like that. Number one and number two. Who's the most beautiful? Who's the most handsome? Who is the most intelligent? And all these different things. It's competition because not everybody is at the same academic level or have the same features and all this different stuff. So you are putting people against one another. They're again dividing people against one another because of their looks, because of their color, because of their height, because of their strength, because of their speed,
Yeah,
because of their intellect. But we all came here with something inside of us to add to the pot. It's like I don't know if you talk about a soup or a gumbo. You need all
mm,
of these different ingredients to make that gumbo, that big pot
yeah,
of soup. You need all these different ingredients and all
yeah.
have its own distinct individual taste. But when it comes together, oh man,
That
oh man.
sister, man, that's a big clap on that. And that's what I want. I want people to see. There's pieces to the puzzle. You know,
Yes,
like I don't understand how people say Islam is the only way, Jesus is the only way, or
Buddha is the only
Judaism is
way.
the only
Selassie
way. I'm
I.
sorry, there's a million and one ways to skin a cat. You
Okay.
got it. You got the game messed up. Those people that say those things, you have the game messed up. It is
Hmm.
not one way to get to the promised land. It's not one way to travel. If they're doing road work on this road, you mean to tell me you have no way around? You can't take another road and get to where you're going? There's no other road to
Mm-mm.
get to that destination to get to
Yes,
Walmart?
no detours.
Disneyland has its own highway. They got several different ways to get there. You can go this way, you can go that way. There's less traffic if you go the long way. You got to go around, but it's less traffic. But or you can go the straight route, and there's a lot more traffic. There's not one way to do something. This is why you
Yep.
have Honda, Toshiba, or
All
Mercedes,
these different.
uh,
Yep.
Toyota. There's a million one ways to get to the destination. And
Yes,
they
sir.
created this big divide. And Jesus is the only way. Well, you're never going to convince me of that. You know what I mean? You're not going to convince a person with a brain in their head of that. There's more than one way to get there.
Yep.
And there's not to say
And
nothing.
then
There's
get,
nothing
okay,
wrong with
get
Jesus.
get there
You know,
where? You understand where is it that you're trying to get to? Because when you think about it, this is what they tell us. There's the only way to what? To heaven. Where is heaven? There's only way to one way to get to consciousness.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, goodness.
right.
Wow.
And that's where the
Wow.
great divide comes in. Like
Yeah,
this,
crazy.
you're dividing. You're saying that this piece to the puzzle won't fit the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, why are you missing
Mm-hmm.
why is everybody missing the picture then? How come nobody can see the whole picture? Because you're not including this
No.
piece along with this piece and along with that piece. You got to
Mm-hmm.
include it all. You mean to tell me Mahatma Gandhi didn't have a method of inciting peace among the people? He wasn't no Christian.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't, he wasn't all about it. Joe, it's just Jesus or it's just Islam or not. But he created peace. Mother Teresa, Princess Diana. You mean to tell me these people, Buddha, you know what I mean? They all had forms of enlightenment and something that you could take from them, and you can take a message from these people, put it together, and create a better life for yourself. No matter
Mm-hmm.
which one of them you take an excerpt from, you could improve your life. You could take something from Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Princess Diana, even JFK. It don't matter who you
Yep.
take. If it's something positive that's going to help you and improve your life, why can't you add it to your list of things that you follow that help
Mm-hmm.
you get to a better you?
Yep. That's it.
Crazy.
Yep. And so that is why now for us, it's letting people know it's okay to love yourself. It's okay to do the work on yourself, but it's also okay to communicate and show love to what somebody who's not of your same culture, skin color, country. You understand?
Yeah.
It's okay to have brothers and sisters all over the world. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because when you do the testing, we all come from one mitochondria. One.
Facts. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
you know, we could hmm,
You said it right,
we could
sister.
see the thing.
And the universe is made up of like I forget the percentages. I think it's in the 90s. Yeah, it's like 90
Mhm.
something percent uh hydrogen, right? Our
Okay.
bodies, everything in the universe made of 90% of the same material,
Okay.
or materials plural. So why are we dividing ourselves and dividing the consciousness? You know what I mean? Like it don't make sense. It don't make sense to me at all. I never understood why my mother said, her exact words, because I don't even use that word anymore because that's a color. Blue, green, white, and black, those are colors. So I
Yep.
don't like using that. And it's okay to use it depending on the audience you're speaking to, right? However, when you really break it down, is melanated, Caucasian, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I prefer those words, but when she said to me, don't bring that white boy to this house no more. My spirit knew to ignore that. He was back
Yep.
the very next day. You see what I'm saying? Like, you taught me logic and right from wrong first. So I never understood. I always had that unity in my heart. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I was taught to divide myself and taught to divide others from me. I was taught that
Mm-hmm.
bullshit, but it wasn't real. It was something that was fabricated.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What do you like to say? When you know better, you do better. Eh?
mhm, yeah,
Yep. So we don't hold on to those things.
yeah.
Mm-mm. If it don't,
And
if it ain't adding, it dividing. Why divide? What does the
yeah,
division? What does dividing get you? You know?
right. You know what's crazy is my aunt, my favorite aunt, and I was her favorite nephew, right? May she rest in power. She named one of her children after my best friend,
Okay.
who was Caucasian, and that was the same little boy my mother said, "Don't bring that white boy to this house." Who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Excuse my language, but who are you to say who I could be friends with and who who resonates with me or who actually, I was bullied as a child up until I was 10 years old by
You
the
see?
friends and the people in the neighborhood and I so-called my friends and I was getting into stuff and stealing bikes and it wasn't like that with him. It was just genuine uh love for each other just as a friendship. We had a real friendship. I'd love to see him again. I don't even know what he looks like, you know,
Wow.
because my mother was
Mm-hmm.
on her, she had her journey she was on, but so we moved a lot. But moving away from that area, like that crushed me because that was the only real friend I had as a child, you know? So I just never saw color. I was taught to see color. I was forced to see color, and I couldn't get past it. I never could get past that part of my life. It bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, damn, you want me to hate these people because you had a bad experience with them because you grew up in a different era. That got
Yep.
nothing to do with me, gang. You know what I'm saying? That got nothing to do with me. Why is it I gotta adopt your ideology or your prejudice because yeah, no, you got, man, this world is this division is crazy. This
Yeah, yeah,
division is crazy, sister. Like,
yeah, yeah.
we
Yeah,
need help.
it
We really
really
need
is.
help.
Mm-hmm. It is, and that's what it came to do. It just what it is just now to keep us from coming together and finding the most best capable, compatible person with ourselves that would even push us into our destiny, that would even waken up more things in us than before. You know, imagine that same person that she didn't want you to be friends with would have been the person that could have pushed you even further in your destiny. But because of whatever, if you understand, it caused a divide. Ah, my dear, I believe, I
Yeah,
truly believe
yeah.
that the
And I
time,
was I wasn't gonna let that cost me my friendship though. Like, my spirit knew better. That's why I knew I was special when I got older and I started thinking back. That's where we need to look at the past as reference. A lot of people
yeah,
live in the past and dwell on it because it was
yeah,
painful. I look at it as a reference. Wow, my spirit knew then
hmm,
that unity, it didn't have a color. You know, right now we
yeah,
are spiritual beings, we are spiritual people, and it don't matter where this person comes from or what their background is or what their skin shade is made up of.
hmm.
D-
It
you know
don't matter.
Man,
Do not matter.
sister, sister,
Yes,
sister, sister.
yes,
I am just
yes,
so
sir,
grateful
yes,
to
sir.
be here now because I get to look back and say, that's what that meant.
Um,
I didn't
Yep.
know that then, but now I know that's what this meant.
Yes. Yes.
Man, it's a beautiful feeling to know that your spirit was guiding you the entire time, even though this
Mhm.
person wanted you to go this way. You knew not to go that way. And I couldn't have been no older than 5, 6, you know? It's like, don't bring that
Mhm.
boy back to this house. It's like, why? And
Mhm.
I was like, man, whatever you talking about, man, go smoke another rock. That's exactly what I said in my head. Man, go smoke another rock, man. And he was there the next day. Kyle's coming for dinner. I don't have that much food. He's already here. He's already here though. He can have half my plate. And she
Mhm.
never understood the significance of that. Till this day, I don't think she understands the significance. And I was willing to give him half of my plate, and we starved as children because she was out
Mhm.
smoking her rock and spending all the money on crack and stuff instead of feeding her children and being home with her kids. You know what I mean? Like it don't bother me to
Mhm.
say that now. I can literally say that and it don't bother me because it was something that happened in the past. However,
Mhm.
I'm not going to ignore the fact that you know, I saw my spirit saw around corners and said, no, don't listen to that. That's hogwash. That's going to
Mhm.
lead you down the wrong path and you're going to miss out on a lot of different opportunities. And I still missed out on some opportunities because of the way I was when people would speak to me. See what I'm saying? Like people would talk to me
Mhm.
and I would just ignore them and keep on walking. Oh, good day to you, sir. So having some fine weather, nice and sunny. The hell you talking to me for? And just keep moving.
Just keep moving.
And make a
Attitude.
mean I'd make a smug face too, sister.
Muggling. Oh gosh. Wow,
Crazy, man.
man. Craziness. Yeah. But
But I adopt
nevertheless, all them
yeah,
as lessons now we could use to help others.
facts. Facts. And that's all I want to do. Help because right now there's somebody out there who don't feel the need to speak to somebody. They're bitter, they're angry, they're, upset with the world or whatever their past and they just don't know how to deal with it. You know, you gotta
Blame,
just let it
blaming
go.
everybody.
Just jump into that
Mhm.
uncomfortability because eventually it's going to feel so liberating. Your heart's going to feel so warm. You'll be able to breathe. I couldn't breathe. I realized I wasn't breathing then. I wasn't even
Yeah.
breathing. I was gasping for air. The entire my
Mhm.
most of my life, I was gasping for air. I didn't take a
Bad.
deep breath until I started letting out the pain and letting in the
Mhm.
love. And I could like that's why like we had that a couple weeks ago, the power of strangers. Like that
Yeah.
love is something you'll never have if you don't just jump into it. You got to just dive into it.
Deep dive. Deep dive. Yep. Yeah. It's so important. But a lot don't understand that and don't, not say comprehend. As I read the comprehend, I say comprehend is like, yeah. Yeah, comprehend. Think about it. A lot of times we don't comprehend the power or the magnitude of our belief system and the belief system that was pushed on us. You see? So when we
Yeah,
come to the fullness of God, then we're able to now move to the next level in our own personal life and be
right.
able to heal ourselves. You understand? Because a lot of times what we believe is basically what is being infractioned or what is being pushed on us more so than anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah. You better believe this because mommy say this is what it is. Daddy say what it is. Pastor say this is what it is. But they never teach you to take time to know for yourself, you know, what it
Mhm.
truly is. Yeah.
I knew you was gonna say that too. You got to take time to know for yourself. They want you to
Mm-hmm.
believe in this thing, but you got to know
Mm-hmm.
for yourself.
For yourself.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
like how I was so intellectual and diabolical in a
Mm-hmm.
in a good way, but I had to become that, she turned me into that, when we would go 3 weeks sometimes without food, or
Mm-hmm.
only going to bed on a bag of popcorn. And it was
Yeah.
like I had to become, I had to be smarter than her. And my spirit knew this. I had to be
Yeah.
smarter than her,
Mm-hmm.
So she never saw it coming, but I'd say, teach me the days of the month, teach me how the weeks work. And she taught me,
Mm-hmm.
when she was home. So she taught me that. And then I said, okay, so what? And I come after I learned it, I come back, couple weeks later. Okay, so what day do we get our food stamps? When do our food stamps come in? And she pointed the day. She'd say on this day. Oh, okay. So every day does it change on a month? No, it'll come on this day every single month. It'll
Wow.
be in the
So
mail.
she didn't know. She didn't know you was learning.
Yeah, yeah. And we had the paper food stamps. So I would hijack the food stamps, right? And I'd catch the
Mm-hmm.
mail. I'd get up early and
Mm-hmm.
I'd go and grab the food stamp and oh no, we gotta go shopping first. We going shopping. See, I
Yeah.
had my little brother and sister I had to make sure, and myself, we had to eat before you go smoke your rock. And I
There
never
you go.
forget, like we was in the store and she was attempting to get me to buy the cheap version of some rice. And we liked Uncle Ben's rice. We liked the way it tastes.
What?
And she wanted us to get the cheap. Look how much you can get for this price. And I said, no, you just want to save money so you can go buy a jump. And the whole grocery store just turned and looked. She wanted to beat my ass so bad, but we in the store and she knew I was dead right. Just get the Uncle Ben's and come on. That's how I spoke to her. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, and even she tells that story to people. Like, she'll never forget how I, handled that situation. But I had to. You run off
Mm-hmm.
and running off for 3 weeks, and you spend all the money, all the SSI money uh from your children, all the welfare money that you was getting for us, and you spend the fucking food stamps. We don't get to eat nothing. Yeah,
Nothing.
no, come on,
No.
gang.
My
Something had
Lord.
something had to change. So, and I think I was like 3 years old when I said that to her. I remember
What?
this. I had to be smarter because she taught me how to cook. You know, she was teaching me how
Mm-hmm.
to cook and grooming me so that she could leave the
Wow.
house. She was grooming me all that time and
Yep.
put me on the stove at 6, 5, and 6. Said, okay, you're not allowed to use the grease. You can make pancakes, you can make rice. Certain things I was allowed to do when she wasn't there. But when she wasn't there, I could not touch the grease. I could not touch certain things because obviously you should have some supervision. So she was smart about that.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, yeah, nah. So that divide was even in the household.
You see there?
And
That's it.
what was I supposed to do? You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't regret having gone through that because now I
No.
know my son don't have to go through that. You know what I mean? I don't have to allow my
Everything,
daughters and my son. Yeah,
everything we go through is for a purpose. It's never wasted unless we waste it,
yeah,
But everything we go through is for a purpose and a reason. To not just for ourselves, but then we can be able to help the next generation that comes along.
facts,
Yeah.
facts.
So I don't take none of the things I went through as a child, having to learn how to iron and wash clothes and all these different things. I don't think it was fair, but fair doesn't mean anything. I'm grateful for it because why? It make me the woman that I am today and the responsibility that I am able to what you call it, maneuver and adjust in any situation and circumstances, you
Yeah,
know?
facts.
Yeah. So no matter
And
where I go in this world, I'm able to make the mental adjustments first, you understand? And then make the other adjustments that comes along with it.
yeah, and look how far we've come. Like, look where we are
Yeah.
now. We built a tribe
Yeah.
from across the globe
And from the
without
that's right,
each
from
other.
across the globe.
You know,
Yep.
you talk about gravitational pull. You know what I mean?
My goodness. Wow.
And
For
those
real,
who
for
ain't
real.
those who ain't meant to stay long won't stay long,
No,
as we see. You know?
they swirl right off. Swirl right off and we continue on. Continue
Yeah.
on smartly.
I
It
mean,
doesn't stop.
it's amazing how we don't never realize this at the time. Like those individuals who tap in for a certain amount, like they're tapping in as the tribe, and then they
Hmm.
eventually we see the pain that we see it later, because they do
Hmm.
something that
Hmm.
shows they're still in pain, which is
Yep.
crazy. It's like I may have some past pains that I even to this day I may be dealing with, but I'm dealing with it. I'm healing from it. I'm not
Yeah.
allowing it to affect my decision making and how I operate with others. But they are, right?
Hmm.
And I'm not going to go into detail as far as like with the one of the original founders, when that thing happened on the Discord and with all that, like that
Hmm.
was pain. That
Yep.
was someone speaking from their pain and using that pain, and they were hurting not just the other person that they were talking to, but they were hurting the rest of the tribe with that pain,
Yeah.
right? And same thing
Hmm.
with the most recent departure. It was like he you use the N bomb a lot, you know, and
Hmm.
you had a lot of different pains that you were dealing with, and you don't even recognize it. You know what I mean? Those are outside pains that you're dealing with,
Yep.
but you're internalizing it, and then it was affecting how you dealt with
Your decision
everything
making.
else, how you dealt with
Yeah.
the tribe.
Your
And
decision making.
yeah, that's
It
crazy.
affects the
I'm
decision.
noticing that now, sister. Like, damn,
Yep.
that's why I love Captain Planet, because we are protected. That Captain Planet is not having it,
Yep.
and that's why I just say the
Captain
captain. I don't
Planet,
say it's a he or
he's a
she.
hero.
It's just the captain,
Yeah.
and the captain ain't having it. We,
Yeah.
man, that's a beautiful
You
thing we
see.
got.
Yeah, you see it. And the thing is as long as we continue to respect each other's space, thought, and patterns, think about it. If I respect who you are as Speculum Emblem, I respect Queen Oracle for who she is, respect Jay Hooks for who he is, because we are individuals that now come together as a tribe and we're pouring out from our individual place and respecting each other in that individual place and space.
Mm,
You
mm,
see?
yeah,
Man,
this is
so
love,
you know,
y'all. This go
man,
ahead, preach, sister. This is love,
man,
y'all. Pay attention. She's
love,
speaking that love.
love. We have to, it's a serious thing when you do not respect the opinion, the life of somebody else. I can't come inside your house and tell you how to run your house, how to paint your house, how to decorate your house. You can't come and tell me how to paint. I could give you my opinion, and that's just my opinion from an outside view. I don't have to live in that house, but I respect you in your house and appreciate the way you operate inside your house. That's maturity.
Yeah,
Maturity. Maturity says, I respect you in your place and in your space. You respect me in my place and my space. The division comes when, let me tell you what division comes when we don't respect, we have disregard for other people's place, space, and their own ideas. And hey,
Mm,
that's where that's where divide come. Let me divide. Division come when I want to superimpose my views on you, or you
yeah,
want to superimpose your views on me and make me think like you.
yeah,
You ever notice that's why they made that they have a slave Bible because
yeah,
they superimposed what they wanted the slave to preach and teach. What they did, they superimposed what they want. So they used to write the slave message for him
yeah,
to preach and hand it to him on Sunday morning. This is what you're gonna preach today. Huh?
yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
So you see, divide. So I can divide and conquer because why I can make you think what I want you to think.
Facts.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, that ain't gonna work. And so that's why when you say people fall off or they're no longer apart because of the pain that they going through, and so they try to superimpose themselves, their views, their opinions on somebody else. That ain't gonna work. It
Yeah,
ain't gonna work. And so that's why it's so important to heal, to go to be healed. And let me tell you something. When you run from your healing process, you make a mess of not only just your life, but everybody's life that you come in contact with because you're spilling over your pain, your hurt, your frustration onto somebody else. Yeah, I know.
wow,
It's much.
wow.
So I would encourage anybody and everybody, take time to yourself. Be gentle with yourself because your pain even come to divide you from you. Situations come to divide you from you. Because why? When you're going through something, you ain't thinking rational no more. You even ain't thinking about the purpose, the plans, and the things that you had to do. All you're thinking about now is getting revenge on this person or getting back at this person or this thing or whatever the situation is. So now you divided even within yourself. You want to do this, but because you're so angry, so because you're so frustrated, because you're so hurt, you ain't doing nothing. You stuck.
Yeah,
Mm-mm. Don't let nobody cause you to be stuck. Not
facts.
nothing cause you to be stuck. Mm-mm. Wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Wake up, wake up.
Mm.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's powerful, sis. That is extremely powerful, and those words of wisdom are gonna echo through the ages. I already know. A lot of people are going to listen to this later. Whether it's a day,
Mhm.
whether it's a year, and it's gonna help a lot of people because there's people in that space where they don't know that it's the divide in themselves that's creating the divide in others, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're so right.
I think, and watch this. When if now if I'm angry with you because you did something to me, now I'm gonna go run to J Hooks and tell J Hooks. So I'm trying to divide now J Hooks from you. Or I'm gonna run to Queen Oracle and I can tell Queen Oracle, hey, Spec did this and da 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 and da 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 da. So what am I doing? I'm causing division. Ooh, something that could be avoided if me and you could just sit down and reason to come. Let us what? Reason together. That's what we had to do. Sit down and reason together. If you could sit down and reason together, we could have get so much accomplished. more than me just trying to tear you down or you trying to tear me down. Oh, Dr. Sublime said this. Let me tell you all something. My family know. I have a problem, and let me not say I have a problem. I I don't even know how to word it. But anyway, when it comes to words, I do not, the pronunciation of words and me are not best friends. We are acquaintances, but we are not best friends. Let me put it like that. So, so, so I'm doing a much better job than I used to do because if I can still call you spec, trust you me, I doing a good job because trust you me, you would have been naming something else. My children, I can tell you, my children had a friend named, oh goodness, his name was either Ronald or, yeah, his name was Ronald. But I used to be calling the young man Donald, and he used to answer, yes, ma. And then finally, one of my daughters said, Mommy, his name is not Ronald, his name is Donald. I said, oh, sorry, young man, but it was not intentional. And he didn't take offense. You understand? And this is where the problem is when we take offense to little silly idiosyncrasies and stuff like that, you
Mm,
know? So a lot of my friends, people who know me, know, listen, if she say that, just listen closely, then you'll eventually know what it is she means. That's all. They learn how to dwell with me with wisdom.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
it.
And we get it all the time on here, sister. We feel it, and we're able to understand you because we're listening. We're not.
Ooh.
We don't like interrupt each other, and we don't mean to. Sometimes we cut in just to kind of add something or whatever, but it always flows so fluently and like a river. It flows so respectfully. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we don't. It's different. It's so different
Mm.
when it's like that because then everybody's voice gets to get heard. Everybody can
Mhm,
say their piece or say their point, and they're able to
mhm,
land their plane without turbulence.
mhm,
Most of the time, there's always turbulence in a conversation. You know
mhm,
why?
mhm,
Like with the brother King Rye, like he never allowed me to land my plane. He's got to interject, and because he's so smart,
mhm,
he's got these ideas or whatever, and his level of education or whatever. But it's like, bro, you know, I don't know how many times I've sent him the information or the proof. Like, listen, I know what I'm talking about. We had this thing where he was like, you can't make alkaline, you can't turn your water into alkaline water by using lemons. So I send him the proof
yes, you could.
where I read this, where I know you actually can do that. What happens when the lemon enters the water and why it becomes
Yeah.
alkaline. He said only limes is alkaline and lemons are acidic. Yes, lemons are acidic, we
But
get
when
that.
it,
However, when you put the lemon in the water, it can turn to alkaline. And I sent him the proof. He never, you know what I mean? He just had to keep interjecting. And it was like, because
mhm,
his level of education is so high, he just assumes that
mhm,
you've got to be wrong about what you're talking about. It's like, I just read this. I'm the one that's
not
drinking this.
listening.
I'm the one that's reading this. And I'm studying this. You know what I mean? I'm the one losing weight from this, you know?
Mhm,
And you're not even on a diet or anything. You've reached your ideal weight. I'm still on the
mhm,
diet, so I'm still in the learning process and on that journey. However, you're going to tell me what
mhm,
I just read isn't factual, so I sent it to him. He never did say, you know
mhm.
what, I put my foot in my mouth, bro. You was right about that. I was wrong. He offered
Yeah. Well,
another. He doubled down and moved the goalposts. Yeah, this is
yeah.
why he and I aren't really speaking anymore. But it's like that divide
Ay,
comes from you.
within. So because let me
Yeah.
tell you something. Some people are super intelligent, but micro mature.
Yes.
Super intelligent,
Yeah.
you know. A lot of times their belief is just in their intellect. I know this and that's it.
Yeah.
No, sometimes you got to humble yourself. and know that somebody else knows a little bit more than you, or knows something that you don't know.
Yeah, yeah, crazy.
Ah,
And it was too much of that. So I sent him a message. I said, I know you're probably not going to speak to me after this, and that's fine. And I said in a very respectful way, I said, I don't mind speaking to you and still engaging with you, but I know that because your ego and your feelings are, in the front of this whole relationship, that you're probably not going to speak to me again. However,
yeah,
I said, you do this a lot, and I mentioned the things that I was absolutely right about because I was just studying these things. He hadn't even studied them, yet he was offering a debate on it, you know, about the tariffs with the new tariffs or whatever we're getting. And I said, those tariffs, this is before Trump got in office. The tariffs that were put in place were actually hurting us. I said, those tariffs are going to
yep,
hurt us, but Trump just fixed it so that we actually benefit now. The American citizen
mhm,
benefits from the tariffs. And because
mhm,
everybody else has got tariffs on us, but we didn't have any on them. And it was like,
right,
so I was understanding because I'm reading these laws, I'm reading these things that he's signing and stuff, and he hadn't even read any of it, but he was offering a debate and I said, you know what, brother, I think you just like to argue, and that's okay. I just think that
yeah,
you should come with actual evidence and some sort of research before you enter the argument. And I said in a
yeah,
very respectful way, but I said, man, listen, this is what it is. This is what it always turns out to be. So,
uh-huh,
I'm gonna leave you here with that, and that's okay. If you don't want to contact me again, that's fine. And he hasn't since,
right,
but you know, it's like I have my certain things that I know because I've studied. I know that the Bible is the biggest misconception in the world. You know, the
mhm,
world knows that. You know what I mean? There's
yep,
not even a priest or a pastor can disagree with you on that. It is the biggest
mhm,
misconception on the planet. The
yep,
biggest misunderstanding. No one understands exactly what's going on with that thing. There's so many contradictions that they found in it, and these are just facts. And I said, I'm not going to base my entire life on just that. I'm going to take the good
no,
stuff that I can see from it. I'm going to take the good stuff I can see from Islam, the good stuff I can see from Judaism, the good stuff I can see from
mhm,
Hinduism, and I'm going to put it all
mhm,
together in one big puzzle, and I'm going to use that to guide me because I can get
mhm.
something from a homeless man and I can get something from a rich man too.
One big gumbo. That's it. Big gumbo. Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't make no sense making what you call it, having a heated debate over things that what is it profiting us to get angry about things that here today and gone today. I can't even say here today and gone tomorrow. Here today and gone today.
yeah,
Some of these things we debate and we get heated and anxious and angry about are things that in short order just disappears.
yeah,
No longer even serving our highest good. If it ain't serving your
yeah,
highest good, don't get upset about it. Don't waste
yeah.
your energy. Mm-mm.
And there's
None,
no
none,
need for that. Look how many
none.
times we disagree on this panel.
So,
Look how many
it ain't too.
times somebody has disagreed with me, and then I say, or Jay Hooks, and any one of us will say, "Oh, I never thought of it that way."
Exactly.
We just
That's what
got
it is.
enlightened just from somebody disagreeing with us, and we're like,
Exactly. That's what it
"Oh
is.
wow, I did not know that. I didn't think of it that way." Instead of
Yeah.
having a constant contradiction and still attempting to put, it's like, listen, I disagree with
Mhm.
this, I think this, and it's like, I never thought of it that way.
Mhm.
And we've gone back and forth on things in a very positive and
Diplomatic way.
a real family type of way.
Mhm. Because at the end of the day, it isn't about who is right and who is wrong. It's what we come, what we learn from it. You understand? It's what we learn from it. That's what we come here for. We come to learn from one another, to vibrate off of one another, and to add to each other. We didn't come to divide and conquer. Oh, I'm Dr. Sublime the Great, and I know it all because I've been. No, no, I'm Spectambulum, and I no. That is not what it's about. If that's what it's about, then we can count each other out. Count each other out. At the end of the day, we wasting our time tearing down when we could be building up, building up. And now we're solid. I like songs, man. You gotta
You know,
excuse me, I'm a music face. Yeah, solid as
I
a
am
rock.
too, sister. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, music is the universe, is the language of the
Yeah.
universe, in my opinion. You know, I think the universe sings a song
Mm-hmm.
constantly. It's always breathing a rhythm. You know, everything has a rhythm. Trees,
Yes.
grass, you know, that's how it grows. Like an engine has a rhythm, a fan has a
Mm-hmm.
rhythm. Everything has a rhythm. Our heartbeat has a certain rhythm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When we breathe, everything's in song. We just not,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we not choosing the right song sometimes. We're taking this rhythm of contradiction or this rhythm of debate or argument into this broad spec man.
This rhythm of having to be right.
Yeah,
Gotta be
yeah,
right.
yeah,
I gotta be right.
yeah.
No. Hmm. Yes, sir. But it's another beautiful, what you call it? Sunday dinner, Sunday brunch,
Yes.
Sunday. Oh man, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's
Thank
always a
you,
pleasure
sister.
to be
Thank
able to
you.
come before the people that come to this tribe. I love the tribe, Doctor. Let me say, Doctor Queen Oracle. We miss you, and we know you doing what you got to do. And Jay Hooks, we know you doing what you got to do. And so we are grateful for each. I am eternally grateful for each one of us that are part of this tribe. I'm grateful for all of you. Spec, thank you so much for your behind the scenes pushing, hard work, commitment, dedication, your zeal. You understand your love for this for the tribe, for all of us, your love for all of us, and your love for doing what we're doing. You know, your work, your labor of love is not unnoticed nor unappreciated. So I just want you to know that
I
you are
appreciate that,
appreciated. You are appreciate love. Let me appreciate love. You know, I'm telling you. And so I'm just grateful. So family. Do not let no one divide you from you, first and foremost, and then divide you from your purpose, divide you from the plans that the divine has placed inside you before you was even conceived and came into this earth realm. Because if they're not adding, they're dividing. If they're not multiplying, they're subtracting. And we do not need that. So I encourage you as you go throughout your day, out throughout this week, these empowering days ahead, remember that you are on a journey and you have to be gentle with yourself. You must take time to know you. This is Dr. Sublime. Please check us out on TikTok, on Fanbase, here on subscribe on YouTube, and we're also on Facebook. So check us out, subscribe, follow, share. Appreciate you all.
Ashe, Ashe. And we want to thank the sister
Mm.
for those kind words. And I especially want to give a thank you to you, sister. And I appreciate love you guys too. And, you know, that's what keeps me driving and keeps me going, you know, is that I know you guys appreciate it, and I know it's not unnoticed. And sometimes we may feel that way, but you know, that higher spirit is always going to tell you otherwise. Like, nah, man, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? They just the fact that you guys tap in and say the words that you say, you know what I mean? It speaks a lot, and I can smell those flowers. I appreciate those flowers, and I'm giving them right back to you. I'm giving you your own set, whichever your favorite flowers are. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I love that you know you tap in and that you bring that wisdom and that peace to the tribe because you know Jay Hooks and I is we come from a more strong feeling about certain things. You guys always bring that divine feminine piece to it because it's like, man, this kind of bothers me, or this like, just like in my situation with the what's it called? The the road raging, right? But it was
Oh,
inside the
yeah,
car. Like I
yeah.
don't I don't road rage out, I'm not getting out the car, I'm
Mhm.
not sticking up the finger, I'm not screaming at nobody and nothing like that. But I'd be upset
Mhm.
inside the car, like, why did this idiot just do that move? It could have got us in a collision or whatever. And the
Mhm.
queen was able to bring that peace to me. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? You putting that on yourself and almost don't count. You know what I mean? So it's that type of stuff
Mm.
that y'all bring to that table that we absolutely need, and it's not it's not going without notice. Also, so again, people, don't let anybody divide your spirit from yourself. Our
Yes.
flesh is very weak. You know, if you put a knife to your flesh, you're gonna have a scar there. You're gonna open up a wound
Mhm.
easily. We're not impenetrable. However, our spirit reflects what
Yes.
our consciousness is. So if we make our
Mhm.
consciousness impenetrable, our spirit is already infinite and already impenetrable. We just need to
Mhm.
recognize ourselves and get rid of that division within ourselves.
Yes.
So like the queen was saying, we gotta we gotta see ourselves as gods and goddesses. We have to look at this from a different standpoint, and not everything is in the division. It's more in the similarities, and we look at those
Mhm.
similarities and we can find true happiness in that rhythm of the universe. And when we operate in that rhythm, we get goosebumps on a daily basis,
Yeah.
on a
Mhm.
constant basis, and we feel good. We feel good about that. So go out there and feel good, y'all. Make sure you get rid of that great divide. And we ran over a little longer this week because it was only two of us, and we're speaking for the other two, not really speaking for them, but in their space. We
Mhm.
wanted to make sure we mention a lot of different avenues of the divide, the great divide, because they definitely would have came with different situations or scenarios explaining how the divide is great, number one, and how they bamboozled us. So we need to wake up from that divide. Wake up, wake up, wake up. With that, I am
Yes.
Speculum Ambulo, and remember to check us out. Make sure y'all smash that like button. Those of y'all who are in the chat box, in the comments or whatever, make sure that you guys truly remember that this is a journey, right? And so make sure you're
Mhm.
looking in that mirror for the change you want to see, and love your journey.
Yes. Ashe. 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 Much love. Much
Sure.
love. Peace.
That's peace, peace, family.
Peace.